Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 8. We've reached just over halfway now of the 2024 World Chess Championship, contested by Liren and Gukesh. The scores are tied 3.5, 3.5. There's not much else to say. Today was a very, very exciting game once again. Yesterday, Gukesh missed a chance. Today, someone else missed a chance. So, let's have a look and see what happened. So, Liren played the English today, c4, another new opening. He does not play anything twice. In his 2023 game, he came with 7 games with white. He came with 7 different ideas. It seems like it's a very similar principle this year. And Gukesh responds the most combative way with the reverse Sicilian. And we get knight to c3, and we get this, almost like a reverse Rossolimo. And Ding removes his knight from the center, doesn't want Gukesh to ruin his pawn structure, and now most games, the bishop goes back to c5, but Gukesh moves his bishop to e7, which is not common because you're giving up the bishop pair, because white can just simply take the bishop and we get takes, and you've just now given white 2 bishops and you've only got the one. This doesn't happen right away because Ding, knowing the bishop's not going in, can develop his knight first. Gukesh will develop with d3, allowing now his light squared bishop to have access, and Ding shows that he will want to fianchetto the bishop, so he plays g3. And Gukesh finally says, "All right, Ding, please take my bishop." And Ding does just that. So now we've got the 2 bishops versus one. And Ding finishes by fianchettoing his bishop. He has not spent loads of time, but he has had to take his time just feeling through the opening, deciding what his exact plan was. Gukesh, still completely in preparation and everything, continues with this fascinating idea. I'm not sure if it's a novelty, but it's a very rare move if it's not. Uh, F3. It weakens the light squares, but that's not a problem in this position. And it just looks to build a big center in the center of the board, I suppose. It's looking to build a big center, and it's a very fascinating idea. Dangerous castles, but it did take him quite a while to play castles. It took him nearly 14 minutes to castle. Gukesh develops his light squared bishop. Ding defends the pawn with b3, and now can also develop his dark squared bishop. Maybe not on that file because it'll be biting into granite, so we might see the super fianchetto again, maybe trying to target a weakness. So we get d5, and we get the super fianchetto again. A similar principle. He's played this once before in this match already. Castles. Rook to c1. Just should you ever take, this file will open up for the rook. Just forgive me, man. And then a5. Gukesh has now kind of exited his prep. He still only spent the 10 minutes, but most of it came on that last move where he spent 6 minutes. So obviously maybe just either recalling or just trying to remember some of the ideas of the position. So he plays the move a5, taking space on the queen side and maybe looking to target Ding's structure. Ding moves the knight, retreats the knight back to e1, opening his light squared bishop. It's a very common idea in the Catalan. And we get a rook e8. And then we get this very interesting move f4. And from here, Gukesh kind of really takes over the game. F4 is not preferred by the engine. And you know, we use the engine as the standard for everything. Because after takes your rook kind of after another exchange of pieces, and you have to take back like this, kind of splitting these pawns, but opening the b file potentially for yourself, should you ever need to have the ability to play rook b1. The rook gets targeted and it gets stuck in the center of the board. It'll likely be traded, but while it's there, it's a bit of a target, and it's allowed Gukesh to kind of, rather from here, develop his knight with a bit of tempo. So it's probably a bit misplaced, and he can develop his knight again. It'll go to the side of the board, but it will come here or it will leap forward. Ding moves his knight. It's going to go hopefully to the center of the board where it'll be more useful. Gukesh slides his queen to c7. Ding follows through with his plan, dropping his knight into the center of the board. Gukesh retreats his bishop, allowing firstly after d3 and the knight coming to the center of the board. Neither player wanted to exchange the rooks at that particular moment. Gukesh takes this opportunity to plant his knight in the center of the board. And Ding retreating again. There was a game earlier. I can't remember which one it was, where Ding was kind of pressing. I think it was his white game. So I think it was game four, where he was kind of pressing, and instead of playing a more advantageous move, a more aggressive move, he retreats his knight to f3. He does so in this game, but now it's not good. It's not good. You don't need that. Although Gukesh doesn't make a mistake, according to the engine. Uh, it just said play bishop g6. It just said attack the rook, and then we can worry about this knight tension a bit later. Attack the rook first, get your bishop to a more active square. He drops his knight back first, which allows Ding to swap off the rooks and play rook b1. Remember, I said you could do this earlier, although the engine doesn't completely bless this idea. At the time, it rather wants you to play uh, queen. It wants bishop b2 onto this fianchetto. It thinks now that the pieces have kind of been traded off, you need the bishop here to control these squares. Or just queen to d2. Also getting your queen to try and help out and target some things. You don't need to move the rook just yet, but we do get rook to b1. And Gukesh goes for it on the queen side to create some counterplay. First gives this check, and then takes the pawn back. You might think, why did Ding move his king towards the center of the board? Because it's actually more weak on the H file, and you probably want your king closer to the center of the board. And here, according to the engine, Gukesh is better, and his best move is queen. Sorry, not queen to d2. Uh, yeah, so it's Gukesh's move after he took back. So it's crying out for Ding to play queen to d2. He doesn't. He finally does play bishop b2. It's at the wrong moment, and it's -2. It's only -2 if Gukesh does what he does in the game, which is take the pawn. And now you need to play bishop to d4, which Ding does find. It's the only move to, keep the game not completely lost. He is still much, much worse. Let's not, -2 at their level is completely lost. It's like making 2 at my level, effectively. And Gukesh chooses wrong. He had a choice between the two knights, and you need to bring this knight forward. This knight is fine where it is. It looks stupid on the side of the board, but it's fine. This knight is worse where it is because it's got no way to enter the game. So bringing a chair is fine. Because if he does it like he does in the game, where he brings this knight forward, this knight can always be attacked. And this pin is a lot harder. b4 is not as protected. So we get rook to c1 again. And now Gukesh must play b4 and get these pawns moving. He's got two clean passed pawns. He needs to get them moving down the board because they will win him the game. He doesn't do that. He plays bishop b3, which gives away all the advantage he had because Ding, like he said in the last game, he found f5, which was creating counterplay, queen e1. And you're going to go queen f2 and you're going to create counterplay. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to solve this position dynamically. And now it's strange because you can see Gukesh retreat the bishop. Now he can just play a4. It's again, get these pawns moving. I don't know if Gukesh forgot that he just had two clean passed pawns. In two moves, uh, in the two previous moves, he could have played b4, and then he could have played a4. They were the best moves to push these pawns, get them closer to queening. But he doesn't do that. He retreats his bishop, and now we get queen f2, and the rook comes, and now you get bishop to e3. It protects that rook. It gets out the way of any funny business that could happen on d4. And Ding is actually winning. He's +2. Gukesh was -2, and he makes back-to-back mistakes almost, and now is much worse. And Ding could be swinging this in his favor. Rook c7 played, and now the most important move for advantage is knight e1. I'm gonna put it in blue. Knight e1 is what the engine says is completely winning. Ding Liren commits a mistake according to the engine, but it's the second best move, and it leaves you with plus 1.5 knight to d4. I don't know why it's given a question mark, but it's because you need to play knight e1. The bishop retreats because it was hit, and now you plop your knight there, and it looks like you give up 2 pieces for the rook, but because this knight is still pinned, you can take it back. So now you've just up an exchange. So Ding Liren's up an exchange, and he's going to have to look to press for more. It's still not an easy position. Although you're up an exchange, these 2 passed pawns are still a problem for white. So you need to use your material, and here he plays king to e1 rather, not queen to e1, which the engine thinks is a slight inaccuracy. It thinks you can leave the king for just a second and bring your bishop back to protect your rook. But it's king king e1 is fine, and now we get b4, but it's wrongly timed because we get Ding makes a slight inaccuracy, mixes up the move order. You need to play king e2 first, but he plays the second best move, queen d4. You're going to offer a queen trade, and that will be winning completely for white. So we get the knight moving towards the center of the board, just getting itself more active, getting itself to a better square, and then we get king to d2. Because you took away the retreating squares of the bishop, you need to protect your rook before you move your bishop anywhere. So the Gukesh slides his queen here, and here I was very sad because Ding Liren went queen at f2, and we got this. And it thinks it's a mistake, but we go here, and queen d5, and here. And Gukesh has a draw in hand. This is the second time in the match he's had a draw in hand, a threefold repetition. They've done it many times. If he writes down queen g2 on his score sheet, the game ends in a draw. Anything else, he's much worse. Gukesh elects to be much worse because rook c2 comes after he gives a check on a2. He retreats, but he is just much worse. Let's not forget, he's still down in exchange. And Ding Liren makes a mistake. The computer doesn't think this is a mistake. It thought knight d4 was a mistake. It doesn't think this is a mistake, which I don't understand. You have to continue to bother for the queen trade because any queen trade is still winning for white completely. And there's always the idea to try and trade this bishop for the knight. Instead, he gives a check, but it allows the king to hide quite safely on h7. And although you win this pawn can lurch forward, and it's very well protected. So you can move your rook. You've got 2 choices there. You go down, or you go sideways. The queen comes forward, and it's going to look to go here again and create counterplay on the king. So we get queen to b4. The queen comes in. And Ding Liren kills the game here with what is essentially a draw offer because they detonate a whole bunch of moves very quickly. We get queen e4, which forces a queen trade. Ding Liren finally gets the queen trade because it's a check, and it also attacks a queen, which is undefended, so we have to take. And Gukesh propels his pawn forward because after rook to b1, you attack the rook, and after you take, the knight comes in, which forks the king and the rook, and the game ends in a draw here. They shook hands because even though after king takes, this is opposite colored bishops, the pawns are all on the same side. These players draw this game in their sleep. So both players in this game missing a chance. Gukesh much better, and then much worse. So I don't know if you want to say the game was good quality, poor quality, but it ends in a draw, which is probably a fair result in the end. But someone must crack, surely. Surely someone's got to crack because both players have been put under an extreme amount of pressure. Extreme amounts of pressure. They've been holding, they've been better, they've been worse, and no one wants to lose. Either that or no one wants to win. Decide on that in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment on what you think is going on in the game. Comment on anything I can improve about the videos, and subscribe if you want to see more from me. Until then, see you next time.